This new year of updates might be the most crazy meta-altering changes we have seen in Siege ever. What's up guys, D-Libs here. Today we are going to be diving into the reveal video for Year 9 and new season Operation Deadly Omen. And more importantly, the fact that Ash R4C with an ACOG is back, and I'll be showing that later on. I'll display on screen now everything we're going to cover in this video, and we do know more about some aspects than others, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the most important thing first, which is the new operator, Deimos. Although he is just now being added to the game, he is of course a familiar face. Deimos is the main antagonist in the Team Rainbow lore, which I'm sure most of you know, and although he is now playable, he isn't technically joining Team Rainbow. People are sort of speculative about this whole idea because typically the lore goes hand in hand with the game, but obviously this suggests otherwise. In the cinematic, Deimos literally kills Doc and Mira and then is captured by Zero, so I guess we're just assuming that Deimos is playable now because Team Rainbow captured him, but that's enough of the lore side of things. I'm sure we'll figure out more as the year goes on anyway. So basically, Deimos brings a whole new level of attacking to the table. His gadgets are called Deathmark Tracers, which are these tiny drone helicopter things that move very quickly and basically scan and detect enemies at Deimos' will. Basically, Deimos will be able to set his target for which defender he wants to track by using his device that shows up on screen. However, this defender must have been scanned first by either Deimos or his attacking teammates. The drone will then hunt the desired defender and shows their active location only to Deimos, so it's not like Jackal where the whole team can see them. The scans are similar to Grimm's Hives where it's live trackers that show exact, smooth red pings. The scan works on a timed system, so it will basically just run out after a certain amount of time and the defender will go back to normal. I don't think they've confirmed an exact amount of time that it takes to wear off, but it seems to be around 15 to 20 seconds based on what they showed in the trailer. Deimos can also cancel the ability at any time as well. While the Deathmark Tracers are activated and scanning the opponent, Deimos is also giving away his own location, which is the drawback. Also, while the hunt is activated, Deimos can only use his special revolver. This may sound like it sucks, but this revolver actually looks like an absolute cheat code and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Deimos will start the round with no drones and will accumulate up to 3 over the course of the round. Now, looking at loadouts, he comes equipped with your choice at either the AK-47M, most notably used by Nomad, or the M590A1 shotgun, which is obviously the SAS shotgun that Sledge and Smoke and all of them also have. Like how I said earlier, you also have the 44 Vendetta revolver as your secondary, which is an absolutely cracked 2-shot kill. As for gadgets, you have your pick at frag grenades or hard breaches. Lastly, Deimos is a 2 health and 2 speed balanced operator, and as for counters, the trackers are stopped by mute jammers and 2 Barrels canisters. And as you probably figured, Vigil is also a direct counter. Now, moving on from Deimos, let's take a look at what I'm most interested in with Year 9, and that is the attachments and ADS changes. Overall, there will be a deduction in aim down sight speed. However, now you can use the laser sight to give you a 15% upgrade in ADS time, which is actually absurd considering laser sight had hardly any purpose before this. Looking more into the aim down sights, they are completely recategorizing them. Before, you had multiple different magnifications with all different designs and tendencies and whatnot. Now, each sight is broken down into 4 categories. Number 1, iron sights. Number 2, 1.0 sights, or also known as regular OG sights. Number 3, magnified 2.5 times sights like the ACOG, and now the 1.5 scope design falls under this magnification, which I'll talk about in a minute. And lastly, the telescopic 3.5 times scopes. So there's no more 1.5 times scope in the game, but they are keeping the scope style and structure and reworking it into a 2.5 scope, which should be interesting. There are some other things to note with these new scopes as well. The higher the magnification, the slower the ADS speed, which obviously makes sense. Also, defenders will have no 3.5 times scopes and only a few will have the 2.5. Whereas on the other hand, attackers have almost every scope on every operator from what I understand. So basically, Ubisoft just told defenders to go fuck themselves with this new update. 2 last things regarding attachments. The angled grip will now give you a 20% reload speed bonus, and they are adding a new grip called the horizontal grip, which increases the overall operator movement speed, which actually sounds super interesting. So to sum up all of this, Ash R4C ACOG is back, baby! But yeah, it sounds like Ubisoft is taking a Call of Duty styled approach with their attachments, which some people already hate, but I think it's pretty good for the game. There's also going to be a complete shield rework in the game too, which we've actually known about for a while now. It basically gives the ability to free look safely behind your shields so you could do this to, clear hallways and allow for your team to move up behind you. The rework also allows for shield operators to safely reload behind their shields, which you can see on screen now. Additionally, you can use your throwables from behind the shield, and now that we're seeing all of this, it really makes sense, to be honest, and I'm surprised it wasn't added earlier. You can also just basically run right through barricades to open them, and you can run right into defenders with your shield to knock them to the ground, sort of like a nomad air jab, and it does a little bit of damage as well. Now, as for general buffs and nerfs, Azami is getting a taste of the latter. Players can now shoot out her Kiba barriers with their guns rather than having to melee it or use explosives. It basically takes a whole mag or even more to shoot it out though, so it's nothing really all that game changing. Now, as for buffs, Ubisoft is looking to get LMGs back into the meta after their harsh nerf just a few years ago. They are decreasing overall recoil across the board for all LMGs in hopes of making them more desirable to play. Ubisoft is also adding a few features to the overall interface of the game as well, with their new locker system on the home screen, which allows for an easy navigation throughout your whole entire inventory of cosmetics. Additionally, they are adding a trajectory line for projectiles before you throw them, which you can see on screen now. They're also implementing new repel animations with their hopes of it becoming a smoother and more realistic animation, and they're continuing to build upon the training and versus AI game modes as well as their AI technology advances, and on top of that, they've added many more playable operators and maps to these two game modes as well. Now, there are also some new player protection concepts being added to the game, so basically if you're an inactive player, meaning you haven't played all season, then you must complete 5 standard games before being able to play ranked. Now, on that same token, as we know, new players must be clearance level 50 to be able to play ranked. However, they now have to have 10 attackers and 10 defenders unlocked before they can play ranked. It seems like Ubisoft is just trying to make ranked slightly more competitive than it has been. And lastly, for player comfort, they are implementing a newer and more advanced gameplay data model to catch cheaters. Now, who knows if this will actually work, but at least they're finally changing something up for all of my PC players out there that can't go 5 minutes without getting aimbotted. Now, I'll be sure to update you guys on anything new that we hear about Operation Deadly Omen over the coming weeks, but until then, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I also have an entire Rainbow Six Siege playlist that's on screen now with tons and tons of videos, ranging from funny moments to tips to spawn peaks to general gameplay, so be sure to check that out if you liked this video. But besides for that, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.